I'm going to show you how I came up with an idea for a brand new magic trick and then developed it all the way into something that could actually be performed live. One of the most famous plot lines in magic is the idea of a broken and then restored object. You could argue this dates back to one of the earliest, if not the earliest, record of magic in history by an ancient Egyptian magician who would supposedly break the neck of a bird and then magically bring it back to life. Now, you don't see that exact same effect being performed today with people killing off and then reviving birds, but that idea of something being broken and then healed or restored is one of the most classic and, in my opinion, one of the coolest plot lines that you can do in magic. So I had an idea. What if we took this plot of a broken and restored object and brought it into the 21st century? What if we could take a phone and smash it and then somehow, impossibly, restore the screen using nothing but magic? This trick involves two separate pieces. One, the visuals of a broken screen being fixed, and two, the physical action of breaking the phone. The simplest idea I had was to create a fake home screen with a crack in it. Then I would simply just secretly open the Photos app to the screenshot to break the phone, and then close it to restore it. However, I think this method is a bit too easy to detect. I'm sure I could probably figure out some sleight of hand to hide the switching into screenshots and back to the home screen, but even then, the illusion breaks if the screen turns off. I'm using my own phone, so it's not that hard to suspect that my phone might be gimmicked in some way, which it is. I obviously have that fake screenshot on it. This is all to say that I think this would be 100 times cooler if I could borrow someone else's phone and break that instead of using my own. My second idea was to use a duplicate phone that is already broken. I would borrow my spectator's phone and secretly switch it with the one that's already broken. Then to fix it, I would obviously just switch it back. I don't currently know the sleight of hand I would use to accomplish this yet, but magicians have been switching one object with another for hundreds of years, so I'm confident that I could figure it out. Of course, the biggest drawback to this idea is that you have to find a spectator that has a matching phone model as your duplicate. And while this isn't impossible because you can ask people to take off their case, and a lot of times you can tell what the phone model is from the camera or even the front, it really limits how often you'd be able to perform this effect. So the more I thought about this, the more I realized that this idea just isn't going to work as well as I wanted it to, which means we are back to square one. So I can't use my own phone, and I can't switch my spectator's phone with a duplicate, which means my only option is I need to somehow create the illusion that my spectator's phone is broken when in reality it isn't. Now, early on when I was trying to figure out how to do this trick, I considered those fake crack stickers that would go on windshields or computer screens to prank your friends, but I dismissed it pretty quickly because those stickers always look so fake up close. But what if instead of using a sticker, we used actual broken glass, and we overlaid that broken glass onto a phone screen? That might just work. Okay, so here's the plan. I have gotten a tempered glass screen protector, and I'm going to break this and attempt to not have broken glass go all over my apartment. And once I have a few shards of this, I will be able to overlay those shards onto my phone, creating the illusion of a broken phone. And then in order to break the phone, I just have to load the shards onto the phone, make it appear broken, and then to restore it, I just remove the shards. So here we go. So this looks pretty bad. It's really obvious that something is just sitting on top of the screen. It looks like it's just bubbling up rather than actually being flush. So if this is gonna work, it's gonna need to be a lot thinner, and it needs to somehow be like actually attached with an adhesive so we don't get this like almost whitening of the screen. And the other big problem is that there's this edge here, which doesn't happen in actual broken glass. And I'm not sure how I'm gonna fix that if I'm gonna continue using this idea. Maybe I've been thinking about this all wrong. I don't need to simulate all of this glass. All I need is the cracks. So all of this piece, like this entire top piece where there's no cracks, this isn't doing anything for me other than causing problems because I have to somehow hide this edge, and this edge. If I could have something that is just the crack itself, then I don't have any edges to hide. So it turns out when you take fishing line and lay it on top of a phone, the way that the light interacts with the clear fishing line looks almost exactly like real cracks. So what I've done is taken a few pieces of fishing line and tied them together to form a little sort of impact crater. That would be the place where supposedly the phone screen impacted the hard surface. And then I attached a small piece of hard plastic so that this is a little bit easier to manipulate in palming. And then what you can do is load this onto a phone and you've got a pretty convincing illusion. The other advantage to just using fishing line as cracks rather than trying to make a gimmick that simulates a large chunk of the full screen is that this doesn't have to align with corners of the screen or anything like that. All it has to do is align with this one edge, and lucky for us, all phones have at least one edge. So my dream of making a gimmick that fits every type of phone has come true. So now all that's left is to figure out how to simulate breaking someone's phone in a realistic way that also won't harm the phone at all. Probably the easiest way to solve this problem, and perhaps the most classic solution, is to put the object that you're trying to break in a bag. And the idea is that you don't want broken glass to go everywhere, so by putting it in a bag, that action is justified. Then when you put it in the bag, you can load our gimmick, pretend to hit the phone, you wouldn't actually hit it, and then you can pull out the broken phone. But there's a few reasons why I don't love this solution. The first is that you have to carry around a hammer and a bag whenever you want to perform this, neither of which I tend to have on me on a daily basis. The other thing I don't love about this solution is that they don't see their phone get broken. For all they know, it may not even be in the bag. Like, they know magicians are able to put things in places and take them out without them realizing it. So it's not the most visual solution, and I'd really like them to be able to see the moment that their phone breaks. Of course, the most visual and realistic way a phone gets broken in real life is accidentally dropping it on the ground. And in general, I try to mimic real life as much as possible, but quite frankly, I have no idea how to accidentally drop someone's phone without it actually breaking. To solve this, I'm going to split up the problem. I need the sound of the phone breaking, and then I need the physical action of something hitting the phone. But the sound doesn't necessarily need to come from the actual impact of the phone. In fact, as long as people hear a loud noise the second that the phone supposedly hits the table, and as long as that noise originates from the same general area, I bet people would buy it. I bet people would think that that sound is actually coming from the phone hitting a table. And so, our solution, drumroll please, a finger ring. If I hit a ring on the table, it makes a super loud noise. And if I hit it at the exact same time that the phone supposedly hits the table, it appears as though the sound comes from the phone. Okay, so that's it, that's our solution. We have a fishing line gimmick that simulates a broken phone when laying on it, and we have a way to simulate a phone breaking by hitting against a hard surface at the same time as hitting a finger ring. So in order to perform this now, what I need to do is develop the sleight of hand to secretly load this gimmick onto a borrowed phone, figure out how to restore the phone, so palming it off, and then obviously I also need to figure out how to hit this ring in a discreet way, because if they see me doing this, they're gonna know it's just the ring. So they need to somehow not see the moment that I hit the ring on the table. So this means that it is time to enter the top secret sleight of hand development chamber. So jokes aside, the bathroom is actually the best place to develop sleight of hand because this is the only mirror I own, and I need to be able to see what my spectators are going to see in order to make sure that all of my secret actions are hidden. Well, it took me a while, but I think I've got it figured out. So before the effect begins, you will palm the gimmick in your right hand secretly. You'll borrow the phone from your spectator using your left hand. When you take it back, you'll transfer it to your right hand, which is the moment that you will apply the gimmick. You're able to show the phone one more time, not broken, because the gimmick is just on the back of the phone. And then when you turn it over to break it is when you apply the actual gimmick. You hit your hand with the ring on the table at the same time as hitting the phone. You turn the phone over, showing that it is broken, And then to restore it, all you have to do is wave your hand in front of the phone at the same time as using 2 fingers to slide the gimmick away. So it looks something like this. Okay. So with a little bit of scripting and adding a meaningful message, we get something that looks like this.
Record temperatures.
Experts call it the worst version
Russian
of
President
Omicron
Vladimir
yet.
Putin has put his country's
People who have such
nuclear
extreme
forces on
views dominating
high
things, it can really distort our understanding of the political landscape. People who have
ranging
such
to what he
extreme
calls
views
aggressive
dominating
statements
things,
by top
it can
NATO
really
powers.
distort